Meeting, please come to order. Barb, will you please call the roll?
We have Commissioners Berard, Fleming, Funderburk, Levine, and Noonan present.
Okay, thank you very much. This proceeding is broadcast on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35. I have no opening remarks. Does the General Manager have opening remarks?
Yes, sir. Briefly, I'll ask Randy Howard to cover this item.
Good morning. I just wanted to give a little overview of an incident that we had with one of our employees last week.
Please, thank
On
you.
Thursday, August 28th at approximately 11:20 a.m., Robert DeVito Sullivan, an electric distribution mechanic working out of the Northridge District, made contact with a 4800 volt circuit in the course of his work on energized circuits. He lost consciousness, and his crew members brought him down safely and revived him using CPR. Mr. DeVito Sullivan was then transported by paramedics to a nearby hospital for immediate care and was subsequently transported to Grossman Burn Center, where they're better prepared to deal with his types of injuries. Over the weekend, his condition has improved dramatically, and he underwent surgery this morning on his left ankle. His condition is still guarded, and he's scheduled for another surgery this Friday. Cal OSHA conducted crew interviews last Friday as part of their investigation into this incident and are scheduled to return this upcoming Friday to follow up. LADWP staff is also conducting a formal investigation into the incident as well, obviously with the goal of never having this happen again. The family has set up a website on caringbridge.org where you can get updates and status on his conditions. At this point, the family and hospital are asking that people refrain from going there at this point because he needs to rest, but they're certainly reading everything and bringing it into him off of this website, so I would encourage anybody interested in kind of getting an update to go to the caringbridge.org website. That's all.
Thank you very much. He has been in all of our thoughts and prayers, and I know that I'm speaking not only for all of my fellow commissioners, but for the entire DWP family. The good news is he seems to be doing exceptionally well, and certainly a lot better than the initial report suggested might occur, so that's extremely encouraging. Thank you. Do we have comments from commissioners on agendized items and requests from commissioners and/or requests from commissioners relating to departmental operations? None. And there are no public comment cards at this point. Is that correct, Barbara?
Right, none for number 4.
Ratepayer advocate?
Well, we may make short supporting comments on other items. We have some slightly more detailed comments on item 19.
Okay, we move to the approval of the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes. For the special meeting of August 24th, the present commissioners were Levine, Funderburk, and Fleming. I will move approval of those minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved. For the regular meeting on August 19th, with all commissioners present, any revisions to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, those in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved. We have, as of now, for consent items 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Do any commissioners wish to remove any items from the consent calendar? Commissioner Broad.
7, 13.
7, 13,
and 17.
and 17. Do any commissioners wish to remove any other items? Okay, that leaves items 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, and 18. Is there a motion to approve those items?
So moved.
Second, those in favor?
Aye.
Those items are approved. Item number 7, Commissioner Barad.
I just had some quick questions here about the rate. Is this the same? Who am I going to be speaking to? Okay. Hi. Is this the same rate that I know it's Van Nuys High School and the Sotomayor Learning Achievement Center? Would this be the same rate that you would charge other places?
Yes, this would be the same rate for all the other places that would get water from this source, which will be the Donald C. Tillman plant.
This is from Tillman?
Yes,
So that's
that is
a purple
correct.
pipe?
Yes, that is
Okay, that's what I
correct.
was wondering, if it was coming from Tillman. Now, you're dealing with LAUSD, so are these real numbers?
Oh, I'm sorry, what's the
Well,
real?
when you're negotiating with them and the costs
Yes.
of this subsidy, are these the numbers from LAUSD?
In terms of what we would pay, what we charge for the water is based on the ordinance, so these are real numbers, yes.
They're real numbers?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on item 7? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second, those in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Item 13, Commissioner Barad, amendment number 2 to agreement number 474466 for software licenses, technology products, and related maintenance with Oracle America, Inc. 1-year renewal of contract, no increase in funding.
Okay. What I am concerned about is I guess I'll just say it, what does Oracle do? It's software maintenance, website, there's a whole list of things here. And since we're having trouble with internally with so many of the things that are listed here, such as customer service and other things as well. What I want to know is what is the overlap that what we do here and what Oracle does?
Okay. Matt Lamp, CIO. Oracle is a software company. They create software at numerous levels. And since their acquisition of Sun a few years ago, they also are in the hardware business as well, but this agreement is specific to software. It provides us a vehicle basically to do two things: purchase Oracle software and pay for the maintenance, because we have to have some sort of contract vehicle to pay maintenance on the software. So, as all the software companies do, they have an annual maintenance program. So you keep the software under maintenance, which means you get the security patches they develop, you get other patches they develop if they are responding to problems that people identify in the software. And you maintain the rights to upgrade the software to newer versions without having to rebuy the licenses, which is extremely important. So that's what you get with software maintenance. You also get the right to enter what, in Oracle's term, they call an SR. It's basically identifying something that where you think there's a problem in the software, where it's not operating the way it should be. And they put engineers on it to work with you to figure out if it's actually a problem in the software or if it's something in the way you've configured it. if it's something in the way the hardware's running it, to resolve those problems. That's what you're paying for maintenance. And it's vitally important to keep those core software packages that we run under maintenance. And so this contract basically is our contract vehicle for doing that. It is not a services contract. It doesn't put consultants on the ground, although we have had a couple cases where we identified some bugs in the software, things we thought were bugs, and they actually did put an engineer on the ground to work with our team
Well, I think,
to make sure we resolve those.
that's really what I'm asking you. When you say we identified, who is the we? If Oracle is doing the technical support, who is looking at these operations, for example, customer service,
Okay.
and the website to say, that there are problems and what needs to be fixed and so on?
Okay, so you're asking really two different, I want to separate two different levels, okay? So there's business process and how you configure software to work with your business process, and then there's issues in the software where if you press A under these circumstances, you're supposed to get result X, and you don't, you get an error, okay? So that second level is really what we're talking about. So, for example, we were having some issues with the mobile workforce scheduler, where the scheduler, under certain circumstances, would basically stall. That was that was related to both some bugs in the software and some ways that we had it configured. We actually had an engineer from them on their dime on site to help sort out what was configuration problems, what was software problems, and make sure Oracle provided us patches to resolve the software parts of the problem. Configuration generally relates to the business process. So in that case, just a simple example, people had set up the scheduler to re-optimize the schedule every 2 minutes. That was too fast. It was overwhelming the system with the number of events we had. And so they reset it to 5 minutes, and the problems we were seeing stopped. That was a business process decision about how fast should we do those things. Okay? So we have a lot of business process issues. So when we talk about customer service in the broad scheme, it's things like how are we prioritizing work? Right? That's a business decision. The software can help you operationalize the rules that you want to do on priority, but you have to set the priority. So I just want to make sure you understand there are those two levels. The business stuff is much more complex, and that's why we have the Oracle people helping us stabilize. Most of that is working with business process. Sometimes we will find something in the system itself that doesn't appear to be working right. That's where we rely on this contract, the maintenance, the ability to open those SRs with Oracle and get them escalated to make sure we get patches we need to make the software operate.
Yeah, now the website, the search engine is very difficult to navigate. I don't know if you're looking into that or Oracle's looking into that.
Well, I know we are on, this is an example, okay, where we implemented that website 2+ years ago. The version of the software we're running is, I think, version Service Pack 4. They're up to Service Pack 9. One of the things that was in that Oracle Services contract was to help us do the upgrade to the later version. Some of those issues of usability, like search, have been improved in those versions. If we don't pay maintenance, we don't have the rights to upgrade.
Well, when do you think that they will be updated and be working better?
I know they have started the process. That one is really being...
Is that a priority with you?
Let me put it this way. The group that is working on that does not directly report to me. It reports through customer service, and they're trying to manage...
Well, when you tell people, go to the website,
Yeah.
and it's difficult to navigate, that to me is a priority, that you want people to be able to find what they're looking for on the website.
I don't disagree with you on that. It is a significant project to do that upgrade. It is one that they've scheduled, and the staff that support the website are working through that.
I think that's what I'm asking you, is where is it on the schedule?
I'll get back to you on
You'll
the
get back to me.
specifics on that
Okay.
one.
Please do, yeah.
Okay.
And then also the URL, they're like 2 and 3 lines long.
Okay. That really has to do with the content management engine. The way a lot of those websites work, those are internally generated URLs. You'll see that on many, many, many sites.
Well, 2 and 3 lines long, it's very slow, and I think that's something also that you want to look at.
Yeah, I mean, at the high level, you should be able to use simple URLs. When you get into large websites, the content, the efficient way to run a website is basically what's called through a content management engine, and they will always generate highly complex URLs. If you look at any of the Google search strings, once you go into something and bring it back, you'll see enormous things, because the amount of content that they're looking for and trying to tag, the only way to efficiently do it is let a database do that. And that's what's going to come out. It's not going to be able to be simple language to go all the way down into a complex website.
But I'm wondering, is that something that you could look into?
We can look into at
Yeah.
the top levels so people can get to sort of key areas
Yes.
that they want to. But when you actually are looking for specific content, you're going to find you're going to need to drive out of the database. There are too many pieces to make
Okay.
it simple.
And then,
Commissioner, we'll
yeah.
look for ways to simplify it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Second, those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's passed. Thank you very much. We move to item 17, amendment number 1 to agreement number 47184-3 for marginal cost study and rate consulting services with PA Consulting Group. Commissioner Barat.
Thank you. What caught my eye is the increase in the contract by almost $3 million. And the expanded scope of what they're going to be doing, the PA consulting firm. And what I'd like to do is find out what they have been doing and now what they're planning on doing. And I have some questions about the benchmarking also. I don't know who I'm directing this.
In part, Phil, but I do want to add some context up front. We're required by ordinance, whenever we're discussing rate increases, to have an up-to-date marginal cost study. We had one done the previous year, which chewed up a lot of the dollars under this contract. Then it was determined to not move forward with any base rate increases. We can't necessarily use that data entirely. We have to reconduct portions of the study. That's the lion's share. Phil can get into it. We also have Jeff Peltola here from Corporate Performance who can speak to the increases on the benchmarking side.
Okay, good.
Yes, so the original contract for about $1.3 million had 7 tasks, and we have expended about 80% of the funds in that original contract. PA did complete much of the work needed to proceed with what we thought was going to be a 2-year rate action that started in fiscal year 14-15. Because the rate action has been deferred and we are likely going to extend the horizon of that, a lot of the work that was done will need to be reworked. So we need some additional funding for that. So of the total contract amendment for about $2.8 million, about 40% of that is related to reworking, updating, and expanding some of the work that's already been done, about $1.2 million. The rest of it, about another $1.2 million, is for new tasks, and that's largely the benchmarking, as well as some more in-depth work on issues like rate restructuring and external analysis, ad hoc reports that we're going to be asked to produce. And we have also included a 20% contingency in this because we just can't say with certainty what's going to be requested of us during this rate ask. And we know quite often there are new analyses that the RPA may request of us or the public as well. So we did leave room in here for a contingency. So I understand the concern about an original contract for 1.3. How in the world could it increase this substantially? And it is due to factors that we discussed in a table in the board memo. So this is kind of what's changed. There are some new tasks added, and then there are contingency. Those three items make up the difference.
And how long will the benchmarking take?
Hey, Jeff, you want to come up?
So Reggie, if you could pull that presentation up for me. There we go. So this is, if you recall, on June 17th, the presentation that I gave to your board, we talked about the benchmarking, we talked about the resources that we would get would actually be through this process. So what is funded in this amendment is Phase 1 and Phase 2, which was the initial high-level benchmarking, and then when we get the results of that, we'll be going to the in-depth benchmarking study. So it's roughly, between those two, it's a total of roughly $800,000, including the contingency. The benchmarking, the first phase is going to be something that will be done between now and including the communication part of it is something that'll be probably close to early summer before that's completed, and then the more in-depth study will be something that will be done right after that, and into the fall will be
So almost a year.
Almost a year between the both of them, right, and including the communication part of it, which is going to be key. And just as a reminder, if you look up on the screen, those are the different things that we're going to do on the first high level will be the financial, the environmental, customer, reliability, and infrastructure, and then identification of some of the policies that are going to impact the costs.
In the benchmarking, are you looking, I know you're looking at other utilities, but what about beyond that where there are other call centers, since this seems to be, a real problem ongoing now with DWP? Are you looking at other call centers?
So if you recall, one of the things, and we did talk about that, when we identify the cost by utilities and we see something that is out of scope, that it's higher than what we see in the other areas of utilities, when we go to best practice, and that will be something that won't be funded under this contract amendment, when we go to best practice, we will look at, in addition to utilities, we'll look at other places, how they do customer call centers, all those different types of things.
That may not be utilities.
Correct. It'll be business process mapping studies will do that.
Good, because I know that's, in my reading now, that's more the trend now is to look beyond your own.
Sure.
Yep. That's what MasterCard does.
Yeah.
and-
Right.
Yep.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to ask about are the tiers, that going to 4 tiers, and that's part of this, what they're going to be doing.
On the water side?
Yeah, on the water side.
That might be best, Jim, if you take that on as far as why you're looking at establishing more tiers, what some of those business drivers are.
Yeah, so we are currently looking at a 4-tiered structure. We're trying to design that around interior water use at an affordable price, because there's a high correlation between water use and income level, so that would provide some protection against our lower income folks and basic water for health and human needs, sanitary needs. Then the next tier would be looking at what would be used for a progressively landscaped and landscaped in accordance with California native materials, and then we'd go up, tier off from that to like a traditional landscaping that would use a lot more water, and there'd be a higher unit cost on that, and then a fourth tier for excessive use. So that's kind of the rate design concept that we're working with right now.
All right, so the benefits, for 4 tiers, are the benefits to DWP? Who reaps the benefits of going to 4
So
tiers?
the tier structure is independent of the revenue increase. So there's no real difference in the revenue collection to the department, but we're designing this to try to send the right kind of price signals to our customers to incentivize conservation and also to protect low-income customers from impacts of rate increases when primarily their water use is for basic sanitary and human needs.
Well, all right, so then if you go to more tiers, so who is affected? Businesses and homeowners that particularly have to water more.
Right. So the way that tiers work, the way that we're anticipating the tiers work is that the 4 tiers would be to your single-family residential customers. The multifamily and the commercial would probably continue with an existing 2-tier structure where your tier 2 or your tier 1 is based on your winter time water use. So basically you get a certain basic amount because you don't have a high fluctuation, and then anything above that goes into the tier 2. So the 4 tiers would be really geared towards single-family residential.
So if you go to, let's say, tier 3, are you going to do anything with tier 2 so that, you know what I mean? So does that change so that because you're adding more tiers?
The new tiers aren't necessarily going to tie into what the existing tier structure is, and we're still doing the design on that, trying to figure out exactly what the breakpoints are on the tiers. The idea, though, is we're looking at, right now we've got adjustments for family size, lot size, temperature zone. We're trying to look and see whether we can simplify this a little bit and eliminate the family size or what the value of having a family size correction is there. It might be better off just to allow a certain amount for a large size family and then not deal with individual corrections to that, because we're also trying to simplify this thing so we don't get inundated with calls in our call center, because we're having problems with that too. So, but probably the temperature zone and the lot size, we were looking at keeping those as adjusters going forward.
Okay, so then the temperature zone, when you look at that, that's going to be primarily in the valley where it's hotter and where they use more water.
Yeah. Right now, on the power side, there's 2 temperature zones. On the water side, we have 3 temperature zones. So again, we're still doing some of the design on this. So we're looking at what the advantages are of having 2 versus 3. Perhaps it'd be simpler to adopt the same temperature zones for both water and power. So the staff is looking at the analysis on that.
Actually, Commissioner, it's interesting because your questions are exactly why we were amending this contract, to be able to analyze those various options and the implications and develop a plan. That's exactly what this is in part for.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that, because on the face of it, it looks to me like this is really an assault on homeowners, and particularly those in the valley where it's hotter. And
Jim, is it correct right now that if you live in the valley, you get roughly 3 times the amount of water at a certain price than is in one of the southern zones?
Yeah, a large. It's about on the lot size, so it's more on the lot size than the adjustment. But the larger lots are in the valley. But a large lot gets about 3.5 times as much water as the smallest lot at the cheaper price right now. So there's a pretty substantial factor built in there to allow people with large lots to have more water at the cheaper price.
My only point, Commissioner, is this early on until we break out kind of the advantages and disadvantages to the varying groups, and you can see the compromises. Yes. I would hesitate to categorize it as an assault on the valley. There's a lot of other things built in to protect those individuals as well.
Because I think that the valley is going to they're going to feel the brunt of this, and also some of the west side where there's large lots and very green lawns and a lot of watering. So I think certain segments of the city are going to really feel the difference, I think, when you go to 4 tiers.
And we will analyze all those, and we'll have, before we propose anything, we'll have a very detailed analysis, so you'll be able to see, council district by council district, what the impacts, where things are going up, where things are going down. We'll have all that data for the board to
So
to
that
review.
data will be before the commission, before it becomes a fait accompli that you've got these.
It's never a fait accompli until this board approves it.
Okay, thank you.
When will the study be done, Jim?
I'm going to defer to the rate design guys on that.
Well, we're developing various alternatives as we speak. We have some draft materials we're discussing internally and with our consultants. So the board could request a check-in really at your pleasure on where things stand. But as Mr. McDaniel said, nothing's final until the proposal comes to you, which is nearly a year away.
And like Commissioner Barad, I'm also very active with the neighborhood councils, and I would only recommend that you start getting the word out to them as to what the timeline might be so that they don't cry foul.
We do have
after the
draft
fact.
timelines established, and we're very careful to ensure that we meet our obligations to the neighborhood councils. We have to get this base work done to be able to answer the questions that are going to be raised. That's why you're seeing this now.
Great. Well, I think it's here to be applauded, and I think that the more that information we can get to neighborhood councils when the documents finish, the better.
Yep.
And just on that neighborhood council, I was just asking Phil, we do have a memorandum of understanding with neighborhood councils that specifically addresses rates. We are looking at a multi-year rate action, so under that provision in our memorandum of understanding, we have to circulate the proposal to the neighborhood councils 120 days before the board votes on them to exactly do that, to provide them with adequate time to review the proposals and talk about them and take positions if they want to take positions.
Any other comments or questions on item 17? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's passed. Item 19, Springbok 1 Solar Farm Power Sales Agreement number BP 1403, Springbok 1 Solar Farm Agency Agreement number BP 1404 with Southern California Public Power Authority and Real Estate License Agreement number BP 14016.
So, Commissioners, this is the fourth project that is being brought to the board since May 6th as part of our comprehensive strategy for renewable energy around the Barron Ridge substation, and using that station as well as the new Beacon substation and our new transmission line that we're currently constructing. So this project has a 6-mile generation tie line that runs through the Beacon property site and will tie into the Beacon substation, which then will tie back into the Barron Ridge. It's a 100-megawatt single-access tracking solar project. It will provide more capacity during the late afternoon, which will support our peak demand more effectively than just a fixed tilt panel. The project was one selected from over 300 SCAPA proposals, and this project had the lowest cost of any project that connected to our system in this very strategic area. The project will be located in Kern County and will connect directly to that substation, or the Beacon, and go through the transmission line. The power purchase agreement for this project is for 25 years. The benefits are multiple for this because of the interconnection queue that this project had. It was high up in our interconnection process. It has excellent solar insulation at that location, and it's located near an area where we have current operations and maintenance crews. The price of energy under this agreement is $68.60 per megawatt hour. It results in total payments of $454 million over the term of the agreement, with an average expected expenditure of $18.2 annually. If the purchase option is not exercised, we'll just continue the annual payments, but we do have 3 different options to purchase the projects. The first starting at the 15th year, then the 20th year, and the 25th anniversary of the project. The purchase option prices, both floors and ceilings, have been negotiated and are in the agreement. The purchase will occur at fair market value. So it's going to provide approximately 1.2% of our resource requirements, and that will meet the energy requirements of about 45,000 homes. The team is here if you have any additional questions that you might want to ask.
Thank you very much. Questions? Is there a motion?
Comments, President.
Comment from the ratepayer advocate.
We support approval of this project with one important change. On page 5 of the memo that was distributed to you, we note some caveats in terms of our analysis on things we think are important for future consideration in other projects of this type. But we think the option to assume, to exercise authorization to purchase the project or assume any project debt requires a number of steps in terms of analysis that should be brought to the Commission. And to accomplish that, there needs to be an amendment to the resolution on page 3 of the resolution, in the paragraph being, in the 3rd paragraph on the 3rd page, that says that the board shall review and act on material matters to be decided by LADWP. Down in the 4th line where it says the exercise of any purchase option, we should also insert or assumption of any project debt, and project debt should be capitalized because it's a defined term in the contract. So we're adding the phrase or assumption of any project debt.
Let me ask our staff how they feel about that and whether this has been discussed with them.
Mike Webster, Assistant Director of our Power System Planning and Development. Recognize that this is a SCAPA project, and for a purchase option, it's pretty clear that we would have to go through board and council approval to exercise any option to direct SCAPA to issue debt to purchase a project. So what we're really talking about is, should this project go into a default situation? So the developer is in default. The first entities that have a right to cure are the investors, and they're going to want to cure this project. But ultimately, if SCAPA steps in to cure, that is a SCAPA decision to cure this project, because what we have is a power purchase agreement from SCAPA. And they need that flexibility to step in and cure should the investors also decide not to cure. So they have secondary rights to step in to really make the project whole.
And therefore?
Therefore, we would not recommend any changes because it is a SCAPA assumption of debt only to cure should there be some sort of default.
Did the ratepayer agree? Did the ratepayer advocate bring this to you in advance?
Just prior to the meeting. That is correct.
The report was delivered in draft 1 business day after we received the materials. That was last Tuesday, and we sought additional comments on Thursday, and on this issue in this item in the Springbok transaction, we didn't get a corrected version of the resolution until this morning. So we think if this can't be resolved by the addition of this language, we should table this until the city attorney can comment on something that might help address this, because we could be assuming 150 to perhaps as much as 300 million in debt, and that should be a board decision as part of the governance process, not something that should happen at SCAPA or solely at the staff level at DWP.
Mr. Howard?
So I'm not aware of any condition under which an assumption of debt can occur without a board action. SCAPA can't issue debt on their own. They would have to issue it on our behalf, and that would be after a board action would be taken. So I'm not aware of a condition that could occur, because I think the language was amended based on some concerns that were raised already to ensure that any action for a purchase of this facility or an assumption to acquire it would come back to the board and then go to City Council as well. We did include that language within the resolution.
And where is that language?
So it's the same paragraph that we were talking about before. So it's on...
So it would be the third paragraph of the third page of the
Correct.
resolution. And it would be, the board will need further authorization from the City Council in order to approve or exercise any purchase option of this project in the future, which authorization may be qualified. Now, as to this concern on the issuance of debt, again, we would not issue debt unless we were going to do something ourselves, and that would be a requirement.
It isn't the issuance that we're concerned about, it's the assumption of existing project debt that is in default. It is to avoid what I call a cylinder problem, pouring good money after bad.
Gentlemen, is there a potential cylinder problem here?
If the project's in default,
If the project were in default,
So several things need to happen to go into default. Is one, the project developer will need to default. Now, they've built the project, they have a PPA, and so they default. Then the next thing is that all the investors in the project will have a right to cure, because they have the first step in rights to cure that, and they've invested the hundreds of millions of dollars to get the project built. So they're going to want to make sure that that is cured. Third, if they do not fix the problem, then SCAPA has the ability to step in to try to cure so that the project remains a viable project. Again, this is after it's built, the PPA is delivering, so should something happen down the road, they could make that decision to cure so that they could continue to provide the power that we've purchased from SCAPA.
Randy, let me ask something a different way. What problems would there be in amending and including those few words on the resolution in real time?
I'm sitting here trying to think about it. I hadn't thought about that previously. I don't know that there would be. I think the only issue might be a timing issue if we get caught in some type of cure thing, activity. But I'm not sure that I have a significant problem with that change. I just hadn't walked it through with the city attorney. Maybe there's an opportunity to defer this to the end of the agenda, and maybe the staff could have some time to talk with the city attorney on that particular verbiage, if that would be...
Mr. Chair, would you be amenable to that?
Yeah, I would be amenable to that. I don't want to belabor this on process, but I had been under the impression that our staff and the ratepayer advocate had gone back and forth on this issue ad nauseum, and the ratepayer advocate had signed off on it after other compromises had been made. And I am therefore very surprised that the ratepayer advocate would essentially have an additional substantive concern that, after they had gone over this extensively with our staff, hadn't been raised before. Having said that, I have no problem with deferring it to the end of the agenda and
Thank you.
asking our city attorney how they feel about these few words.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to item 20, LADWP Energy Storage System Procurement Targets for 2016 and 2021.
So I'll kick this off and then turn it over to staff. By legislation, state legislation, the department is required to consider and review what its storage requirements might be, put in place a plan for energy storage. energy storage is becoming more critical as we continue to add more renewable and variable resources to our energy mix. So as we have more distributed generation out on our system, we have more solar farms being built, our wind farms. We don't always know when that sun is going to shine, when the wind is going to blow, when the cloud is going to come over. So the ability to ensure that we have reliability in our system right now at the levels of renewables, we have some resources to cover that. We're building quick start generation units. We have pump storage at Calf Stake. We're doing a number of things to address this issue, but one of the other options is other types of storage. And so we have a team of engineers that have been looking at what those options might be. The technology, it's a very evolving field of science. You've seen it in your electric vehicles and your plug-ins. Battery technology is evolving very quickly. So we've asked them to look at it. They have some recommendations here they'd like to present to you, and the board would need to then adopt our plan that we would then submit to the California Energy Commission.
Morning, John Dennis. I'm the Director of Power System Planning and Development, and Randy has encapsulated this very well for our action today. But I've got 6 slides just to go through here that Matt will just progress through on our energy storage requirements for AB 2514. Under AB 2514, the investor-owned utilities are required to set their procurement targets, and so this is an opportunity where we are to set our own energy storage procurement targets. We are looking at opportunities that are viable and cost-effective, and we have 2 target dates, one for 2016 and also one for 2021. And we started this study back in 2012 as this board directed us to determine the viable and cost-effective storage targets. And so the staff has done those studies, and they put that together in a report that's attached to your board document today. Those conclusions are in there. And it's our goal to then to report, based on your action, then to report back to the Energy Commission of these particular targets, as well as that in 3 years we'd come back and revisit those. In addition, as each year, these will be part of our integrated resource plan that we bring forward each year as part of our overall goals. So these will be embedded in there. And as Randy said, these programs are developing, they're changing, seeing opportunities that are more cost-effective. We'll examine those along the way. Next slide. The question here is, why energy storage? And there's just 2 graphics that are up on the slide here, just to give you a feel. The graphic represents energy production of a wind project that's of one of ours, it's on the left, and a solar project that's on the right over a 24-hour period of a day. Each one of the colored lines represents one day, and we can see the 24 hours of production. Recognizing that at about just off center there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon is generally your peak. So sometimes that production is close to or at that point, but nevertheless, it's not there necessarily when you need it. And so part of these goals, as we see in the years to come, as we increase these renewables, there is a variable resource. It's intermittent at times. And literally, some of this will be to tame the tiger and to be able to make sure that we're able to produce at a time, store, and dispatch that energy when and where it is needed. So why energy storage? Again, the renewables are increasing. Our target is 33% by 2020. We can see those potentially growing in the future. Typical renewables like the wind and solar, they do vary, as you saw from the graphic, and the production doesn't necessarily align with demand. And so how can it be stored? How is that possible? We can see the opportunities with thermal, such as ice or cold water storage, batteries or chemical energy storage, or even, as we have in our system right now, sizable amounts of hydroelectric, such as pump storage. So these are the areas of both mechanical, chemical, and thermal storage systems that are out there. The timeline is just simply, as we indicated, is to go ahead and present these findings to the Energy Commission and then come back in 2017, take a look at the targets and evaluate those, and then in 2020 also to continue to look back at where we're at with our particular targets. The approach is that to work not only independently, but also work with our industry work groups and see what's out there, what kind of capabilities are there in all areas of generation, transmission, distribution, and at our customer level, looking at the maximum renewable and generation levels, seeing where we can do that to perform feasibility and cost-benefit assessments, making sure we're at the optimum point for cost effectiveness, but also meeting the needs, and then rolling out with our implementation plan, and then coming back in October of 2017. This table, just to highlight these, on the left side is just the connection levels as we see generation, transmission, distribution, and then at our customer level. And then specifically, we have some project names that are in there from 2016. We have, as far as complying with AB 2514, the work needs to have been completed no sooner than January of 2010. And so with this, we see the opportunity to include the energy storage upgrades, the efficiency upgrades that have already been performed at Castaic, and incorporate some work that's already been done into our goals of 21 megawatts. And then some other opportunities that are happening or underway both at LAX and then some downtown areas for energy storage opportunities. And then as we see out there in 2021, looking for opportunities at our Valley Generating Station for some larger thermal energy storage opportunities there. And then sprinkled throughout our system, either at those renewable projects or even into the downtown or in our distribution system, looking at areas for both battery as well as thermal energy storage. So we've seen some success in some of those areas. We want to see that continue to grow. As we look at the overall target, the 154 megawatts total in here, the state's goal is for 1,325 megawatts for the investor-owned utilities. So this represents about 10% of that number of where we would be targeting of the overall goal for the state, 154 megawatts.
What I think is fascinating about this is you can liken this very much to the rollout of renewables, where the state applied policies and those agencies that were jurisdictional set targets, but on a separate track, you saw solar at a disaggregate or decentralized level come up within the customer base. So in essence, it causes the utilities to put the money into the R&D and then the big projects, and you set these targets. But frankly, I think what will ultimately happen is similar to solar's a good example at a residential level. You'll see storage technologies at a residential level as well, as opposed to this continued focus on larger, more centralized projects. So it'll roll out a variety of different ways, but it's just interesting to look at that analogy at this point in time.
So we take, again, as much as our program has been to learn and grow along the way. And our next steps are to just look at the viable, cost-effective options that are there, perform the feasibility studies at generation, transmission, distribution, and customer levels, and then report back to this board for any updates on the energy storage targets by October 2017.
And as interesting as all this is, the people within the industry who stand to make money on storage systems will rapidly move to get much higher targets in place. There's this push-pull between all of the technologies, renewable and otherwise. So this will probably be subsumed with some rather arbitrary legislative target, I'd bet, within the next couple of years.
How can you ever consider a legislative target arbitrary?
Sorry.
Are there questions or comments on this presentation?
So the action before you today is just to adopt these targets for 2016 and 2021.
I did have one question. Is there a penalty for not meeting these targets?
If I can answer to that, if we don't adopt those target and CEC can come back and tell us, this is your target, this is what you should be doing it. They will be setting the target that could be higher than what we're proposing. And that could, jeopardize our budget planning also as well.
They have been given, if I'm correct, statutory authority to assign penalties to public utilities. I don't believe there's any set for these initially, but it will not surprise me. And in the development of subsequent legislation, it's immediately brought forward that the publicly owned utilities don't have targets and the IOUs do. So there's also an argument that it's a part defense strategy as well.
Other questions?
I was wondering about the storage and possibility of major earthquakes, what safeguards do we have in place?
Well, there are a variety of types of energy storage that we talked about, both mechanical or chemical, thermal. So any of those areas, as far as, especially on the area that might be of ice making or water storage, typically isn't, those items then would have to pass muster with regards to seismic upgrades. If there's a tank of water, for example, that would be something that would have to pass. And if it was something like a piece of equipment that was out on top of a business, they do ice storage or the likes of that, then certainly those would have to go through the seismic calculations, building and safety, and the likes of those to be prepared and able to handle a seismic event, so that they're there. And
Commissioner, if I could too, for a number of entities, they're looking at this type of storage to actually be available during an outage or an emergency, so a natural disaster. Currently, a lot of critical facilities have battery backups or they have generators. As this technology continues to evolve, you will see more of that. We are testing with a number of our solar installers solar systems with battery packs for a residential level, where if we were to have an outage on our system, their home would isolate from our system and they would have some form of emergency lighting or whatever they need in their home. And so you'll see more of this evolving, and one of the selling points is really that emergency type of backup. It's available to them, and we would utilize it in a similar way depending on how it was set up on our system.
That's exciting. Yeah, that would be terrific.
Other questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second, those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's passed. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 21, energy cost adjustment expenditures for the 12-month period commencing October 1st, 2014.
Every quarter we come to this board with a proposed adjustment to the energy cost adjustment factor. This is a factor that sometimes goes up, sometimes it goes down. For this particular quarter, we do anticipate an increase of about 0.36 cents per kilowatt hour, which represents about a $1.80 increase for the typical residential customer who uses 500 kilowatt hours per month. This is an up quarter. We have done a forecast of the following quarter where we think a lot of that will be reversed. What's causing it to go up this time is a number of factors, including higher natural gas costs of about 20% higher than we foresaw for this period 2 years ago. The fact that we are moving ahead with the coal transition strategy, and we are planning to dispose of Navajo Generating Station. We bought the Apex plant to replace that capacity. So those costs are getting rolled into our rates a little bit ahead of what we originally anticipated. We also had some under-recovery of costs in prior quarters that we're having to recover now. So we have some ups and some downs in the various elements that comprise the ECAF, but overall it is increasing a fair amount for this quarter, but we expect a lot of it will be reversed in the following quarter.
Questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Second, those in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. Thank you. Item 22, authorization to sell up to $450 million of power system revenue bonds under resolution numbers 4884 and 4885.
Okay, Phil Leiber, I'll also be covering this item. So we did provide in the board memorandum a roadmap of our bond issuances this year, because there are a lot of things happening. It is easy to somewhat lose context for all of this. But this particular $450 million is part of the $679 million that you approved at the last board meeting. So this is just the first tranche of what we anticipate will be 2 tranches this year of new money to support the power system's capital needs. So the way these bond issuances work is we come to you with an initial resolution and then a supplemental resolution. So we did the initial last month. This is the supplemental. It is for $450 million, and what this resolution does that the initial one didn't is it gets a little bit more specific about the transaction. Particularly, it names the underwriters who are going to assist in this transaction. And for this $450 million, we anticipate appointing two firms as co-managers. RBC Capital Markets is senior book running manager, and JP Morgan Securities as co-senior manager. And then we have a number of firms that will also assist in the marketing of the bonds, including Cabrera Capital Markets, Citigroup Capital Markets, Loop Capital Markets, and U.S. Bancorp Investments. We have also attached a draft preliminary official statement. That would be the marketing document that goes to the individual investors. This has been updated to reflect the current status of the department as well as the particulars of this transaction. So again, just to summarize, this money is needed to fund the roughly $1.5 billion capital budget that the power system needs this year. About $679 million will be debt financed, and this money supports three main projects, including reliability, power supply replacement, and customer opportunities, including energy efficiency and solar programs.
Questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
It's approved.
Thank you.
Item 23, agreement number 492535 for executive medical services with Cedars-Sinai Medical Care Foundation.
Mr. Chair, you know what? Never mind. Go ahead.
Good morning, Shannon Pasquale, HR. What we have before you today is a recommendation to approve a new 3-year contract for the executive physicals program that we have for the managers with Cedars-Sinai. Any questions?
Any questions?
Not a question, but just a comment. This item had come up before. We'd had lots of questions about it last year, I think, when it came up, and I just want to thank both Mr. Wiggs, but especially thank Shannon for walking some of us through this, the minutiae of it, and how the selection was made. So I very much appreciated the hard work and time that went into this.
I echo that. Thank you.
Lots of compliments, no questions.
That's the best.
Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Very efficient.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 24, sustainability, authorization to issue Public Works Bureau of Engineering a change order with the selected general contractor for LADWP's tenant improvements and issue amendment number 2 to contract 471212 for architectural services with John Friedman Alice Kim Architects, Inc. at the La Crête Innovation Campus. Who's presenting this one?
That would be me.
Okay.
Nancy Setley, Chief Sustainability and Economic Development Officer. And we have a presentation understanding that a lot of the history of this occurred before many of you were on the board, although Commissioner Noonan has been part of this discussion for a while. So we wanted to try to give you a little bit of a background on two things. One, sort of why we're involved with this Clean Tech Innovation Campus, and we also provided to all the board members the previous board actions and some additional background on how we got to today, and then the action that we're proposing today. We have a number of folks in the audience who are available to answer questions. I think we will lose our representative from the Bureau of Engineering at 12:30. So I'm happy to go through the presentation on clean tech if that's what folks want, or we can go directly to the amendment. But I'm happy to go through kind of how we got to this point. So if we could have the first slide, please. So clearly, oops. Sorry. Thanks. So clean tech
Do any commissioners want to see the clean tech presentation? I think we've seen it before.
Okay.
Does anybody wish to see it again? I think you can skip ahead.
Okay. I want to skip ahead then to,
I have quite a few questions, however.
so if you want to go right into the questions,
That'd be
that's
wonderful.
fine.
Thank you. I'll start off by asking about the additional $2 million in additional contingency funds being requested of Public Works, as well as the additional $1.5 million being requested by the City of Engineering for La Crosse. How do these requests tie into the change order request that you're making on this approval letter that you presented to us?
So the additional funds that are being requested are for build-out of a space that had been allocated to the efficiency solutions but never designed or funded. So if there are no additional funds approved for this space, it will just be sort of raw office space. So we are proposing to use this change order to design the space and build out the space so that it can be this emerging technology lab, as well as some additional customer engagement space. So if we can go to, there we go. So this is the breakdown of the cost. This is only for that. It's about 9,000 square feet that has not been that have been allocated to the energy efficiency programs, or the efficiency programs, but not been designed.
But my question, and I just want to make sure that we're on the same path. After reviewing these documents, and I did spend a great part of yesterday reviewing all of the contracts as well as video footage of prior board meetings relating to this item, it states that through our MOU that actually the department has to reimburse Building of Engineering for costs relating to La Crosse. So I guess my question is, are you not only asking us for this $2.6 million change order, but is the department also going to be reimbursing $3.5 million to engineering as well as Public Works?
The only request we have is for the additional $2.6 million for the change order, which includes the build-out and the architectural services. The cost reimbursement for the Bureau of Engineering for their their construction and contract management was in a previously approved MOU, but I'll let Mahmoud from the Bureau of Engineering explain that more.
Good afternoon. Mahmoud Karimzadeh. I'm the principal architect for the City of Los Angeles Bureau of Engineering. I'm not sure if the $3.5 million you're referring is the contingency for construction or is the staff cost of the Public Works, mainly Bureau of Engineering and Bureau of Contract Administration services to complete construction.
I show that tomorrow the Board of Public Works will be meeting, and agenda item number 4 requests the board to authorize $2 million in additional contingency on a revised construction project for La Crosse, and then it goes further on into asking for $1.5 million for the city to engineer to deal with these changes. So I'm wondering, are these all tied in?
Yeah.
Who ultimately pays for this? Is the department reimbursing you? Because in other documents here, we have reimbursed you for any work relating to La Crosse.
Yes, there are two separate costs here. One is the construction cost, and the other one is the staff cost. The staff costs are addressed within the MOU that is executed with Department of Public Works and Department of Water and Power in December 2012. The construction cost is actually in the Board of Public Works. The number you see after the $2 million addition to what we have, we will end up with a total number of $26,669,000 approximately. And within that number, there is a $3.5 million contingency, approximately $3.55 million contingency, which is designed to address the issues with the construction during construction, like unforeseen conditions or changes that are necessary into the design documents that make the contractor to work extra. construction activity.
That those contingency costs were previously approved by
Yes.
this board?
Yes, they're all previously approved.
So the only additional funding that this board is being asked to consider is the $2.6 million. The Board of Public Works Action is reporting on the construction costs as a whole, and these, including these additional costs.
Exactly. The Board of Public Works report, I have it in front of me as well. It has $2 million addition as contingency, and also to support the change order for the extra spaces for the clean tech, and also to pay some other change orders, like one at the number 2 that authorizes to pay the contractor $200,000 because of the changes between the bed set and the permit set.
What are our expenditures to date right now on La Kretz? I know that we're only 40% through with construction, but as of today, what have we spent?
So I'll try to summarize, and if you have more detailed questions. So DWP budgeted, you've seen the budget for DWP, I'm starting to get to the right piece of paper here. To date on the project as a whole, and I'll get to the DWP expenditures in a minute, about $21 million has been spent so far. So that includes the acquisition of the site, some remediation, the design, and the construction to date. Of that, about $12 million of that has come from the Department of Water and Power. That is the $8 million roughly for the acquisition cost, plus some additional, about a total of $9 million if you include remediation. And then of the $7.5 million that was budgeted by DWP for construction, so get past acquisition and remediation, of the $7.5 million that's budgeted for design and construction, about $3 million of that has been spent to date. So the total, again, roughly as of today, that DWP has expended is $12 million and $9 million for acquisition and remediation, $3 million for construction. And the project as a whole, would you say, is about 40% complete.
That's
is scheduled to be completed in the first quarter of next year, and so these change orders that the Board of Public Works is considering are sort of on their end and not any additional cost to us.
Okay, because in a lot of these MOUs, it states that the department does have to reimburse them, so I was curious about that. If you'd bear with me, I just would like to address some of the questions and comments that arose the last time we discussed this issue as a board. And as I reviewed video footage, I specifically paid attention to the board meeting on December 4th, 2012. And our board questioned why DWP should be the major investor in this multi-million-dollar development, which would only house 10 to 20 of our employees in customer service and energy efficiency, without being granted licensing fees, intellectual property rights, etc. And another concern that came up was that the vacancy rates in downtown are generally high, especially in this area, and there is strong competition like Idea Lab. So we really were, idealistically, we understood the goals of the project, but we were very concerned about our expenditures, given that amendments were made to the motion, and there were contingencies and limits and expectations, including TIs, and they were separated for those two divisions, and a financial plan outlined that. Now, the last time we met as a board, I was told that the TIs had not been contemplated when we agreed to that motion, and I think that's absolutely inaccurate. Now, in the latest approval letter, it's been explained that, it's not necessarily that the TIs hadn't been contemplated, they in fact were, but now the department would like to add a new division, water conservation. So What concerns me about this, it's not so much the $2.6 million issue, because God knows we approve so many much higher budget items, but what I don't like is I don't like the mixed messages and the changing commitments of the project, and I think it kind of exemplifies why ratepayers in general perceive us negatively, or at least are weary about the department's business practices on certain occasions. So in the spirit of transparency, I think it's very important to understand the truth of things, not to have messages or inaccuracies told at board meetings, and for the staff to be very well prepared in backing up their information. So we've seen 3 different stories of what's going on here. Now let me ask you this. Would you tell me what's going on with the incubator space? And do we have any signed leases? Are there any commitments? And how does that impact us financially? Because I know that part of the equation was trying to see how our initial investment would be offset by the rent being paid by these businesses.
Well, as you know, the incubator is in temporary space, and they will, once the building is completed, will occupy approximately 30,000 square foot, about half of the building for their own purposes. There's some shared space, and there are previously approved board actions, description of the lease terms. So as of the moment, all of that is as it was when the board approved this a couple of years ago, and until we occupy, until the space is occupied, I don't anticipate there would be any changes.
I would disagree, though, because years ago we agreed to pay for a marketing consultant to try and identify businesses that would be considering to move into the building. I mean, that was part of the investment. So you're telling me that a marketing consultant has not been hired and there has been no progress on this front?
I will have to check on that.
Okay.
We have, I think we might have Steve.
Steve Andrews from the Mayor's Office. I was previously Chief of Strategic Planning at the Redevelopment Agency and was involved in some of the early conceptualization between the Redevelopment Agency and your board on the whole idea of the importance of trying to create a city economic development relationship around the clean tech and the missions of this agency and the Redevelopment Agency. There was a marketing consultant hired. There was the Robbins Group out of San Jose. They did a business plan. That business plan is very much in place and is doing very well. There's 28 companies that have been recruited and are currently in the incubator now. Those will all move, and it will expand dramatically once there's the space to move into this facility next year.
So we've signed contracts, not just prospects?
These are all enrollees under contract, and they're all under the incubation program of the LaCretz Innovation Campus through the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator, LACI.
Okay. I'd like to see that list, if possible.
Certainly.
We can provide that for you.
Okay. And since we're only 40% done with construction, and originally when we were given the financial plan, which outlined TIs and cap things, and there was a schedule attached, which the construction was supposed to start in April 2013 and June 2014. So we're obviously quite delayed. But, I like to look at the big picture and the future. Do you anticipate additional change orders since you're only 40% done with construction?
Certainly it's possible, Commissioner. The construction is a very brutal process. The whole of the activities in this project is under circumstances that is basically binding us with the existing structure that had in the situation that needed a lot of seismic rehabilitations, as well as hazmat removal, and then providing a new space of basically a state-of-the-art spaces for the incubator's activities. So certainly possible that we will have new change orders. That's why we have a $3.5 million. We anticipated approximately $3.5 million contingencies to take care of those change orders. However, in spite of this new extra scope, all of a sudden we are adding a huge areas to the construction. We needed to have the contingency in a higher level in order to make sure we complete the project. Otherwise, our hand would be tied. We can't issue change orders as necessary.
And so it's fair to say, I think, that the contingencies at the moment, the contingency that had been approved as part of the budget for the construction should be able to accommodate change orders, and that the most complicated and expensive part of the project was the structural retrofit, and that's 75% complete, as I understand it. So the sort of the delta that's left is the more routine completion of the shell, and then the tenant improvements. So I think the contingency may be used for the project, and the change orders in the Bureau of Engineering's contract management. That's sort of, again, on sort of their side of this, but in terms of additional, as of right now, not contemplating that there would be a request for additional money for the overall construction. It just may be that the entire contingency may be used as a result of those change orders. So, and so this amendment is sort of a separate thing, as you noted. It is an add-on that we're coming to the board today.
And I think that really, it called to be identified. The history called to be identified and corrected as to what was presented and what actually transpired over these years. And I also think we have to be very careful. We may not have used all of our contingency monies, but we're only 40% done with construction, and the contingency allowance that was laid out was specifically for energy efficiency and customer service, as well as the other areas that were defined. Water conservation was not part of that. And it's kind of like when you construct a home, if you start adding this and it'd be perfect to do this and that, at the end of the day, of course, you're going to go over budget. And I know that the last board was very, very concerned about capping our costs, and so it wasn't envisioned to be halfway into a project and to start adding other aspects of different divisions and features, because this was very controversial, and there was a lot of people for it, but also a lot of people against it. And I think it's sending the wrong message to our ratepayers just to say, well, we'd like to do this, so we're going to do it, and we're not done with using all of our contingency money. But be aware, we're only 40% done with construction.
Well, I appreciate your concerns, and I did review not only the previous board actions, but as well watched the transcripts. I watched the video of the board meetings, and I certainly am aware of the concerns that were raised. But the alternative, which I ask you to consider, is that we would leave the space as sort of raw space, and would be. And at that point, it would be used, either put a bunch of desks in there or use it for storage. But what we don't have right now, and this board has adopted a goal of 15% of energy efficiency, we do not have a space right now where we can interact with our customers around issues of energy and water conservation. We don't have any place that we can show customers how they can save money on their bills. Many other utilities have that kind of space.
I understand that, and I see how that could be worthwhile. However, when you say the space would just be left raw, I find that difficult to believe, because plans were given to us before you decided to make this a water conservation area. What was it going to be? Was it going to be additional incubator space? And how does that take away from revenues going forward?
My understanding was it was always that these two bays, a bay and a half, that we're asking for action on today, where it's always identified as DWP space, that there were previous notions or plans about how to use that space that didn't come to fruition, and it was allocated to energy efficiency or efficiency, and we believe that we have an opportunity in this space to demonstrate technologies to bring customers in. We don't currently have any space like that. If we were to go outside of this building, we would of this potential project, we would have to lease space somewhere or acquire another space to do this. Right now, we don't. I mean, we have obviously we market our energy efficiency and our water conservation programs, but we really don't have a place where customers can come and see the kinds of new technologies that are available as well. The lab that we're contemplating would give us the opportunity to assess new technologies and to be, frankly, to be more innovative than we've been able to be in the past. And we have a lot of people coming to us with ideas and widgets to help us, that they say will help us to meet our energy efficiency goals. But this is at a place where we could test those ourselves and also have the option for the opportunity for customers to see how these kinds of technologies could be used in their buildings, in their factories, and et cetera. And we are, I think, a little bit behind the curve of many utilities, including publicly owned utilities, who have these kinds of facilities. So I appreciate very much your concerns and the issues that you've raised today and in the past about this particular project, but we just ask that you consider that there's an opportunity here with this building under construction with a relatively modest cost to complete, to build out this space to perform these functions that could be very valuable to the department going forward.
Just one last question, if you'll indulge me. Have we thought of doing this kind of work here at the heart of downtown in this building? God knows we have a lot of open space. I don't know, I don't have the figure as to how many customers come visit us here, but these grounds are quite substantial. And have we thought of perhaps creating this education center here, or at least augmenting some of the exhibits that we have had here to incorporate water conservation and energy efficiency? Because this is a very nice sized property with a lot of parking.
Well, we would not have, so I understand it, access to the same kind of space that we would have access to at the Lacretz Innovation Campus. I think the thing that we would lose if we were to do it here or in any other existing facility is the interaction with the incubator, the fact that there is going to be sort of a hole in the wall where folks can go back and forth between the incubator and the DWP space to try to foster the kind of synergy, for lack of a better term, that comes from being co-located. So we would lose that. I don't want to speak for the folks who have to manage this building of whether they could make some space available, but right now we don't have any such space that we could have the kind of interaction with our customers and with people developing the technology that we're contemplating for the Lacretz Innovation Campus.
Thank you.
So at the risk of beating a dead horse, even a renewable one, so first I want to thank the staff who did an amazing job of preparing reams of paper and all of the documents. My colleague Commissioner Noonan is not only right today, she's been right, I think, on this for years. I went and took a tour. Steve took me on a tour last week. It was a terrific tour of this building. And it's not, as Commissioner Noonan said, it's not the amount of the money, because we approve things that are much greater money, but this project, I fear, is going to become a monument to the change order. And customers are not, I mean, I don't mean to be the proverbial turd in the punch bowl, but customers are not going to go over to this space. There is no parking. It is not near public transportation. If we're looking for a place to have public engagement, one, we're already struggling with how to engage with the public in terms of answering their routine questions about their bills, about their usage. This space is terrific. It's great for the incubator that's already there. It would be great to grow it out, to lease our space out to folks who are in the private sector who wish to do this innovation. But it's very difficult, I think, to justify this change order, which I fear will be followed by repeated change orders. And it's discouraging, but that's kind of where it is.
Can I just add one last point that there? This is the last improved space in the building. So I think the construction management, the relationship between our staff and the Bureau of Engineering on the overall project, we'll continue to have to work hard and work closely with the Bureau of Engineering to ensure that there are not any cost overruns on the rest of the building, and this would be the last space to be built out. So as I said, we're not anticipating that there would be anything above what is already budgeted, plus this amendment to build out the last remaining space in the building. So there is, I think, some at least cap on the kind of upside risk here. And frankly, as we discussed, I don't believe that there's tremendous downside risk or any downside risk if we invest in these tenant improvements in this space. That space will continue to be valuable and be valuable to the department and be valuable in the future in a part of our community that's growing very quickly and changing very quickly. There's some limited parking in the at the Innovation Center itself, and it is closer to public transportation than unfortunately many parts of our city are. So, and the plan is not just to sort of build the space and hope that people come, that we would really be looking at, along with the customer engagement laboratory that's been already approved by the board, to find ways to bring customers in so that they can understand the technology and have a place where we can, when we are in discussions with our customers about how they can save money on their bill by using energy efficiency, that we'll have a place to show them how it works.
Other questions or comments?
I did have a couple of comments on this, and I want to thank my fellow commissioners for all the effort that they have put into doing background and due diligence on this. I would have liked to have seen the center, but Commissioner Noonan especially just seems like she's put in hundreds of hours on this, and I really want to thank you, having known what it's like to put in hundreds of hours on things. It can
I know
be
you do.
Very thankless. And I look at I kind of highlighted this, LADWP will not be responsible for additional funding should this or other elements of the funding plan not materialize, blah, blah, blah. I think that seems to be one of the pieces that you really want to stick by. I also want to thank Mr. Andrews, who tried to persistently get me to the center, and thank Ms. Sutley for her evaluation, getting thrown into the fire on this issue. I do have a lot of experience with energy efficiency projects, and I've been to the Edison, both the Edison and the Southern California Gas one, and I've probably been to 50 meetings at least and spoken at 20 of them over at the Southern California Gas one. By customers, I assume we're not talking about just residential customers, we're talking about our commercial customers, and I think that it can't be underemphasized how important it is to pay attention to these customers and treat them like businesses and treat them like they're functioning members of a market economy and not just customers of a monopoly. And I think that And I think that the synergies that were foreseen by the prior commission in putting this project together are noteworthy. The focus on energy efficiency and having a place. I did have a question, though, Nancy, about the parking. How much parking is there at this place?
There is code-required parking for a commercial building at this location. I think all of us always worry about parking.
But compared to the Downey place, the gas company, are you familiar with the gas company?
I'm not.
If you aren't, then
you
should be. It's a really...
It's comparable.
It's comparable to the gas company.
As I understand, there are 120 spaces?
Yes.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. So you can do one major meeting or a few decent-sized meetings. There.
My name is Terry Brungard. I'm with our Energy Efficiency Engineering Group.
Mm-hmm.
It'll depend on the clean tech incubators, how much occupancy they have there, the available parking. But a lot of the meetings, too, could also occur after hours, so there would be plenty of parking for meetings and after 4:30, 5 o'clock.
One other thing I might just add, because you raised the issue about funding, and it's in your packets, but just to remind people that there is a significant amount of funding coming from outside of DWP, both the initial donation by Morton LaCretz, New Market tax credits, which, as I understand, have all been sold or allocated, and Phil can talk to that, as well as the qualified energy conservation bonds that were assigned to the city, and just most recently the U.S. Economic Development Administration, which had given us a grant for $2.1 million, a part of the Department of Commerce, and they sent their staff out in the last couple of weeks to see the progress there. And my understanding was that we're very excited and pleased with the progress. So the campus itself, with both pieces of it, both the LA Clean Tech Incubator and the DWP space, is a very it's been noted as a very good opportunity to promote clean tech development and economic development in Los Angeles.
And I think that I share the concerns of Commissioner Fleming and Noonan about the kind of change order fiasco of multiple change orders. It seems like that we've dealt with things like this before with software or whatever investments we make, and then we're stuck with them, and we need to figure out ways of making them work. At the same time, I think that having the endorsement of the general manager and Ms. Sutley is very persuasive to me, and and their names are going to be on it also. And if they're recommending this, I'm assuming that they will do their best to make this happen efficiently and as a benefit to the city and the department as well.
Thank you. And I just note on the change orders again, unlike many projects, this actually has an oversight of two different boards, the DWP board as well as the Board of Public Works, that I know oversees many construction contracts on behalf of the city and is very used to providing the kind of contract oversight to ensure that we're not going outside of those costs. So we actually have two levels of oversight on the construction contract. So I think I would propose that should give you an extra level of assurance that this project will be well managed and managed to ensure it stays within its cost.
I have a couple of comments, but virtually everything I was going to say was said by Commissioner Funderburk. The four new, still relatively new board members have been on about a year, and to the extent we have an institutional memory, it's Commissioner Noonan. And I know, Commissioner Funderburk has said it, Commissioner Fleming has said it, I'll even presume to speak for Commissioner Barad. For the four of us, having Commissioner Noonan with this historical institutional memory, I don't know how historical, but institutional memory is extremely important. And I'm very, very grateful to her for taking the time and doing the diligence that she did and raising the tough questions that she raised. And I also appreciate Commissioner Fleming's concerns, even if he didn't spend the hundreds of hours that Commissioner Noonan did in doing her research. At the same time, and by the way, in the year or so that the 4 new members have been on, I think this is, in a way, the most thoughtful discussion we've had on almost any issue. And it's a constructive discussion. And it was triggered by Commissioner Noonan's diligence. At the same time, I also am very, very grateful that Nancy Sutley is our Chief Sustainability Officer. And I think we have seen both the thoughtful, diligent homework done by Commissioner Noonan in terms of what the prior board had struggled, had come up with after a thoughtful discussion by them. And I'm sure that Chief Sustainability Officer Sutley, when she accepted this position, didn't contemplate that she would be doing the homework that she did on the last board's action with regard to Lacretz. And we're very, very fortunate to have Chief Sustainability Officer Sutley doing what she's doing with us. I think this is a reflection of her diligence and homework and her commitment and vision to innovation and clean tech, which is ultimately what this is all about. I mean, I echo Commissioner Funderburk's confidence in our General Manager and our Chief Sustainability Officer in the context of something very important to the City of Los Angeles, which is this type of investment in innovation and clean tech. And the change orders are regrettable, and some of the history, I think, is questionable. Having said that, I think the importance of the project is still overriding. So despite my respect for and sympathy with the arguments and concerns raised by the 2 commissioners to my left, I'm going to support this proposal because of the overarching importance of the underlying issue. But I really compliment everybody on both sides of this discussion for the thoughtful way in which it's been presented. Are there other comments or questions on this item before we ask for a motion? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
No.
No.
So this motion passes 3-2 with Commissioners Barad, Funderburk, and Levine in support, and Commissioners Fleming and Noonan in opposition. Thank you all very much. We'll go back to item 19. Mr. Howard, where did your discussions lead?
Thank you, Commissioners. So staff has discussed the potential change in verbiage with City Attorney Bill Casella. While we reviewed again the information as provided by the ratepayer advocate, we do believe we've addressed the concern as it was indicated on assumption of debt. But I think in looking at the language, we could accept those changes and it wouldn't impede our concerns that we had regarding cure. We do believe we could still cure without an assumption of debt, and the provisions would allow us to do so. And so our concern would be we certainly don't want a project going into bankruptcy while there's a problem. We want to be able to address it quickly, and we can do that through other operating parameters without ever getting to a point of assumption of debt. So I believe Barbara has the language, and Barbara, if you could read that into the record.
Okay, it's on page 3 in the 3rd paragraph, and they're going to be adding or assumption of any project debt.
And you're comfortable with accepting that as a friendly amendment?
I am very comfortable accepting that as a friendly amendment. The other, within the context of some of the ratepayer advocates' recommendation, we do believe it would probably be wise in the near future to come before this board. We have done that with previous boards. On the procurement policy, the RPS procurement policy, we have a policy that was adopted by previous boards that lays out how our team goes out and procures some of the things they look for in projects. And the ratepayer advocate raises some concerns with some of those approaches. So we do believe it'd probably be appropriate to come back before this commission and talk about some of their recommendations, some of our thoughts, and determine if there are any needed changes to our procurement policy going forward. But as to the changes recommended by the RPA, we would find that acceptable.
Well, we would welcome that suggestion with regard to a discussion of procurement policy. With this change, I take it the ratepayer advocate supports the proposal.
Yes, twofold. One, we're comfortable with the language change, and Mr. Howard's comments, we'd like to stress the importance that we seek from the regulators, in this case CEC, clarification on replacing renewable resources if a default or failure occurs. And also, if there ever is a default and there has to be assumption of debt, that research has been done on prices of land or other equivalent features of similar sites, and we think through what the cost of a workout is likely to be in this context, because we're likely to have to make these decisions on short notice. And second component, we strongly agree that the policy discussion that was also included in this memo really is more appropriately covered in a session addressing those things side by side.
So, Mr. Howard, let's do that at whatever time you are able to put it together. Is there any further discussion on item 19? Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's passed. Power System Monthly Report.
We've provided a report, and I would be able to respond to any questions you might have concerning such report.
Any questions on the Power System Monthly Report that was filed? Very good. Council, what are the magic words?
The magic words are the board shall publicly report any action taken in closed session and the vote or abstention of every member present thereon.
We will move into closed session. Thank you.